Lists and Dictionaries VP22, and you need a environment to work in. Any Python environment will do, but I'm using Google Colab. So here's some code to look at. Lists are extremely useful. I use them all the time. They're the most frequently used data structure. A list, you just have a square bracket and you put items in separated by commas. So now we can print the list itself, and its value and its type. We can print the first element, which is called A sub 0, and its type. We can sort the list. And then after the sort, we can print out the results. Let's start with that much. It's going to take a few seconds to spin up the container where it gives me a Linux. Okay, here's the list. It's a classed list. The first element is 1, and that's an integer. After sorting it, of course, it puts it in order, 1, 2, 2, 3, 7, 9, and it's still a list. Then down here, you can append 99. That will add it to the end of the list. Then you can set item 0 to 100 because lists are mutable. You can change elements. So this 1 will turn to a 100. And then you can print them all out again. So the first element changes to 100, and I added a 99 to the end. That's why lists are extremely handy. They're mutable. You can add elements. You can take elements out of them. You can sort them. Lists are, and by the way, you can mix different data types in here. I could put Fred in here. And then that's perfectly fine. Your list can have extra elements in it. Now, I think it's going to complain about sorting or doing less than, which is I tried to do a sort, and in order to do a sort, it had to do less than. So if you're going to mix different types in your list, you better not try to sort it because, of course, it can't figure out whether Fred is greater than or less than 2. But you can put multiple types of data in a list. All right. You can make two-dimensional lists. So let me make another block of code here. All right. And let's run this one. I define A, B, and C as lists with 3 items, and then D is a list of lists. I put those lists in a list. And so here's what D looks like. It's double bracket, 1, 2, 3. The first element is this list, the second element is that list, and the third element is that list. So D sub 0 is the entire first list, and D sub 0 sub 1 is going to be 2. It's the number 1 item, the second item, in the first list, the number 0 list. So you can make a two-dimensional list this way, which is what you might have to do to refer to like cells on a checkerboard or something like that. Now, dictionaries are another useful data structure. And dictionaries, as you might expect from the name, associate a value with a definition. So you have an index, and then a colon, and then the value. So item 1 is apple, item 2 is baker, item 3 is cat. So when you print that out, you make a dictionary by using curly braces instead of square braces. And it has to have this key colon value structure. So here's what a dictionary looks like, a class dictionary. So the one element is going to be 2 baker. No, it's, excuse me. Now, in a dictionary, when you do A of 1, that doesn't mean the first element. It means the value of the one which has key value 1. So you get this is going to refer to the one that has a key of 1, and that's apple. All right. And then I can set A1 equal to alligator, and it will let me do it. You are allowed to redefine elements in list. So I define the number 1 to now point to alligator. All right. That's a dictionary, and you can search a list, and you'll see the point here of why you're going to need dictionaries, I think, in this one. We're going to see. All right, I'm going to highlight that code, and it's giving me trouble. Let me make the window wider. All right. And that's a well-known list of common passwords. All right. So I make another block of code. I put it in. I've got a long list of words. And there, passwords, and I'm going to search for it. So I imported time. Now I'm going to guess, and while guess does not equal quit, I'm going to guess a word, and it's going to hunt for it. So let's run the program, and now it's going to ask me what word to look for. So let's try these guesses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it found it, and it took 2 microseconds, 2 times 10 to the minus 6 seconds. If I search for I love you, it took 5 microseconds. If I search for QQQ, it takes 6 microseconds because it has to search through the whole list to prove that it's not there. And then I can quit with quit. I wrote the program, so quit is the magic word that gets you out. Or so I thought. Looks like it doesn't. Well, guess does not equal quit. Do this. I think, oh, it did end. Okay, it's not running anymore. Okay, that's how you get out. All right, so that's the game. And now there's just some flags to find by downloading a list of 1,000 passwords and then measuring how long it takes to get in there. And 1,000,000 passwords, you can see how long it takes. And then you can do a binary search, which we'll talk about as we move ahead in the chapter. A binary search, you have the list. What you do is you sort the list, and then you take a look at the middle element and say, is it above or below the middle element? And after that, you only need to search through half the remaining list, and you keep cutting it in half. So it is much faster. It takes the log of the number of items in the list to search through the whole list this way, whereas a exhaustive search, the way we're doing it now, can take up to the time to process every element in the list. And we'll talk about that more in the lectures as we go ahead. So if you don't understand this yet, just wait, and when we get to a later chapter, you can do it. So I'm going to stop this one.